It's the Revved Up Sports Show. Here's Bobby Chaffee and Rodney Rodriguez.
Off we go once again. It is another week of hashtag Real Race Talk as we come off a great weekend. Showtime, Bobby Chaffee down south. I'm Rodney Rodriguez. This is the Revved Up Sports Show. Bobby, well, I would say how's your day's been, but we kind of talked a little bit prior to that. Listen, how was your weekend? How was Texana Raceway Park? I think that would be the better way to start this program.
Well, I think it worked out as good as it could, despite still botching another national anthem and another, calling somebody else by the wrong name.
Oh, man, do you have trouble with the anthem?
Yeah. The computer didn't want to work, and then there wasn't any sound, and then it was like it was playing and didn't want to play, and then the national anthem started on its own, and
Dude,
but I didn't trip over the cord.
That is a helpless feeling when something goes wrong like that, man. It's like your ears get all hot, and it's like, man, what? Now what? Now what? I hate that. I hate that when that goes wrong.
Yeah, no, it's just one of those things where it's like, hopefully, eventually, at some point, I'm going to nail the national anthem down there and get all the God Bless the USA tunes in and everything like it was supposed to work. And
well, that's like me with the flyover there in Houston. Just could never get that right. Hey, I like what I'm seeing here. First video, glad to check in here from Bastrop, Texas. We get Brandon Groves checking in. Welcome to the shit show, my friend. We do this every Monday at 6 o'clock. Sometimes on Tuesday, actually today is Tuesday, depending on logistics. But we always get it done. We also do a show on Saturdays on the Horn. And I got to tell you, Bobby, look, before we dive into all the other stuff, that if you were just a race fan and you have not heard, and we'll get it posted up here, if you have not heard the discussion that we had on Saturday with Willie T. Revved, you missed gold right there. That was tremendous.
yeah, no, it was a damn good interview we had with Willie T, a local Austin resident, if you will, lives down in Driftwood now. So
Right.
supposed to be a new neighbor to Matthew McConaughey. So looking forward to spending more time and getting more stories with Willie T. Lots of interesting stuff. If you haven't seen it, check out the trailer for his movie Uppity. It'll definitely open up your eyes to what he had to deal with in the world of racing. So it definitely will open up your eyes and make you question everything you know about racing right now.
Yeah, I love the line where he said, "Yeah, I know there's so many people that truly admire Bubba Wallace," and of course that came up, and he said Bubba Wallace ain't dealing with nothing compared to back in those days. And I've actually seen some bits and pieces from that next Netflix documentary there, Uppity, and I got to tell you, it's not surprising. It's not surprising that was happening back in those days, but it's some pretty gruesome stuff, and so check that out. Like Bobby said, there's I think he said a Showtime documentary coming out, and it's just great discussion, really cool to talk about. And Bobby had to call him after we got done. Because I'm telling everybody, oh yeah, glad you're over in Driftwood and all this other stuff, and he starts talking about McConaughey and all of this, and I'm like, Willie, I'm sorry, man, I didn't mean to give your exact, where you live. He's like, it's all good. Typical Willie T. Revved. If they want to come find me, I'm right here. Jeez.
That is a typical Willie T answer.
I tell you, that was good stuff. So check that out. We're going to talk here in just a little bit. We had we've watched spouses and boyfriends and girlfriends and so forth and so on for a lot of years on the racetracks. We had the Friesens here a while back with the dirt race, but they had a little over at Cotton Bowl. You had Taylor Stewart and Dylan Kowalik, and we're going to talk to them together here coming up at 6:30. Then at 7, we'll talk to our man Jason Marshall, the driver of the number 21 Gulf Coast Racing Series NASCAR Modified, who just kicked a lot of ass there in opening night number 1. But, Bobby, I think the big story is, I really want to, before we get to the guests, how big to you was this Josh Berry thing? To see Josh Berry, dude's 30 years old, however old he is. He finally gets that opportunity. As much as we talk about on this show about all the great racers around the country that never get the opportunity, he hooked himself up, goes elbow to elbow with a guy named Junior, Dale Earnhardt Jr., which that's always a really, really good thing. But Junior has the balls to put him in a car, and man, you talk about taking advantage of an opportunity. He does it right off the bat.
Well, I think it gives the local racer a chance, right? It lets him feel like there's an opportunity out there. Will everybody get the opportunity with Junior Motorsports? No, absolutely not. But he is one of those guys that's taking advantage of every opportunity that he's had. You think about when he was iRacing with Dale Jr., and that's how he got to know him. And then he moved up to the late model stuff and street stocks and all of that. And then he won the national championship, your Wayland All-American Series national championship last year under the Junior Motorsports banner. So he gets a chance to race the first half of the season here in his late model, or in his Xfinity car rather.
Yeah.
And so that he took advantage of that, took a couple of races to kind of get in the group, but then he went to one of his favorite tracks in Martinsville, and the rest, as they say, is history.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's where you seize that opportunity right there, and that's where you make those just amazing connections. And I think it goes without saying for young drivers all around. I mean, obviously we're talking to a lot of Texas folks here, but when it comes to I mean, you have to be charismatic, but at the same time, a little bit of humbleness right there, and everything that's going to point you in the right direction. I mean, we see a lot of guys that, I mean, it's still possible, as hard as it is still possible to do it the old-fashioned way. Once you get up there in age, it gets a little bit tougher, but it really does give hope in it, and it was a proud day for short track racers. I really thought that it was cool, because there's a lot of guys and ladies that bust their ass all around this country to get out there and race. And it goes without saying, I mean, dirt and asphalt, there are probably so many that are better than a lot of the guys and ladies in the mainstream. But it was one for the regular guys, and he handled it well. And it's just really good to see that can still happen.
Yeah, it is good to see that it can still happen. That all it takes is just a lucky break. But it's kind of like the Revved Sports Show. It's a 5-year overnight success, right? After a couple of years, everybody's like, "Wow, you guys have interviewed this person and that person and this person." It's like, well, yeah, but that's because it's not because of the first time that we've been doing this.
Yeah,
so
hey, how'd you get so? Yeah, well, there's countless screw ups. Go back and find them. I mean, it's like years of it. That it's been happening, and you have to take these opportunities. I mean, I saw Jake Wright. I got a text from Bruce. He's checking in there from North Carolina. He's getting another opportunity to get in a pro late model, and what it really goes down to, is he going to get in that car? hopefully he's going to get in that car and get comfortable, get it on the track, get in a race. And I mean, is he going to win? I don't know. I mean, but if he doesn't win, maybe he does something that will catch the eye of just the right person. And that's really what has to happen, because that's how all this happens. I mean, it was, I saw Carl Edwards on TV the other day where they were talking about when he used to pass out the business cards and all that. And he walks up to Benny Parsons and he hands him the business card. And Benny Parsons says, well, if all of your accomplishments fit on the back of this card, that's not saying much. You got to go out and prove it. And he did. And that's really what, hopefully these opportunities, for these guys to get away from here and go try to do something special.
But that's the goal, right? Try to get away from your home track. First, you start out, you move up the ladder. You start out at an entry-level division, then you move up to street stocks, trucks, late models, whatever the case may be. You run your track's premier division. Then you start traveling a little bit more. And then when you travel more, you join a traveling series. And then you move up from one traveling series to the next. And, slowly but surely you end up having it all connect together. And the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. And, lo and behold, then your next opportunity comes before you. So, yeah, not everybody's going to get to Cup, but, you could make a pretty good living and have a lot of fun racing short track racing.
And that's really the thing about it where that really is possible. And we've talked to so many guys on here, and another guy that comes to mind right away. I mean, we talked about him last week. He won the Easter Bunny 150, and then he does it again this weekend is Derek Griffith. And Derek Griffith, he's maybe that one win away, where Griffith has gone beyond where we're talking about guys getting breaks. I mean, he's made that name. People know when he pulls through the gates that he's going to be a guy that you're going to have to contend with, and he just keeps racking up these wins, and that's where we talk about him with the snowball. Hasn't been able to put all that together and kind of tying that into like Ty Majeski and his situation where now he just rolls them off. Majeski shows up and okay, I mean, maybe you're racing for second when that dude rolls up, but Griffith is a guy where he's solidified that. Now it's like that one big win away, and this dude's going to bust into the big time.
Yeah, I think he's one big win away or one really big showcase race away. If he can end up, he's won some pretty big races, but I think if he can find a way to put it all together on the right stage, I think that's good. I know he's got a couple more ARCA races that he's going to try to run this year, but he just needs the right break at the right ARCA start to kind of get things rocking and rolling from that portion. But we'll see. He's won a lot of races. Very composed young man. The only thing that's missing with him is he's good, but he's not flamboyant. You don't always talk about him. Granted, and you always talk about him winning, which winning is great, and that's what we all try to do and we all want to do. But you don't put him in the same category as Stephen Nasse.
Yeah. And that's where, like we were talking about with Jared Fryer. I mean, if Jared Fryer, but I mean, that's not surprising when it comes to like Jared. But had that ass whooping that Jared put on him last weekend, I guess, had that been Stephen Nasse that did that, oh my goodness. And I mean, humble is great. And Kyle Busch is a great example. I mean, I watched that race on when did they run? Sunday. My days are all thrown off. Sunday. So I watched that race with Kyle Busch, and I'm thinking, okay, now you want to talk about a dude that's going to lose it, it's going to be pissed off, and because of the luck that he was having, he gets caught up in all this stuff. And I'm seeing a very mature Kyle Busch to be able to come back and run that thing into 10th, and that thing looked like hammered cat shit when it was all said and done, because that car was beat every which way, but he managed to get himself top 10, and that was, again, that's where you get a guy that talks a lot of shit, but they back it up.
Well, what is it in the immortal words of Kid Rock? It's not cocky if you back it up.
Exactly.
And so he's got the opportunity to do that. And, I mean, like I said, he doesn't have to be flamboyant. Griffith doesn't have to be flamboyant to win a race, but he needs to have that star shine just a little bit brighter, I think is what it is. And it's sad that when you talk about somebody that's winning big races and won some championships down at the World Series at New Smyrna, it's sad that we're talking about somebody having to try to be a little bit more flashy, a little bit more wide open, so to speak. But I think that's what it's going to take to get him the next big ride.
Yeah, and it really does seem like, gone are the days of like Augie Grill. I mean, coming up through the ranks. I mean, Augie Grill was just so good, and he won all the time. But kind of the same thing, he was never the big, whatever. But it's like Augie would just flash that that Augie Grill smile, and he would just kind of smile at you, and you knew you got your ass handed to you. But it does really seem that it takes that other part of it. But we got Caden Honeycutt. I mean, same situation where he's a young guy. He goes out and he wins all the time, and he is just on the verge of something great. So I think that we really have a nice pack of folks that are coming up through the ranks to where by the time you package this thing all together, I mean, think about this when we get to the All-American and the Snowball and all this on the pavement side this year, Bobby. When you rack all of these dudes together, that is going to be some. Hopefully at Mobile we get this pack of guys where you want to talk about a who's who, man. This what people say minor league, which it's not, but what they say, and I like to say it as not NASCAR Cup Series or not NASCAR Xfinity or trucks. Man, it's loaded. The talent pool is loaded.
It is like that Southern Super Series race there on the 26th or the 26th there. I think it's June 26th is going to be huge down there in Mobile with the influx of the people with the Southern Super Series that already run in that series, and you throw in a couple of the guys that are coming just to run Mobile and stuff like that. So that has a chance to be a huge event. Most all of the Southern Super Series and Southern big late model races have a tendency to be here the last couple of years. That it really all of it just stands a chance. You see full fields everywhere. Even over in California, you see them running, with the Spears SRL Tour.
That's what I was going to say. That's the beauty of it is you do see some of the West Coast guys that are making their way over and doing extremely well against the Southerners. So we've we'll actually have a north-south this year. So hopefully everything continues moving forward to where we're able to have that race without a hitch. And be able to have that. I think that'll be really special. Do want to, before we move any further, I do want to pass on some thoughts there. James Honish, one of our guys in the 777. We see him over at Waco. We see this dude everywhere. 2019 IMCA Southern Sport Modified National Champion. His dad, Mike, involved in just one of those weird accidents after the races at Waco. And he was in pretty serious condition there. I haven't gotten an update the last couple of days. I've been off the grid a little bit, so definitely want to pass on the thoughts there to the Honish family as a wickedly scary accident there, and hopefully everything will be good moving forward. Bobby, talk about the sprints. I got to see some sprints over at Heart of Texas Speedway there with the Elite Non-Win sprints, and James Zimmerman wins just a great one. He and Keith Martin were going toe-to-toe, and they get tied together coming out of turn 2. Martin goes end over end, and Zimmerman wins again. And if they'd have got to race it out, I think that'd have been fantastic. But really weird for me at Waco to watch these guys, the way the track had transitioned throughout the night. The sprints were running down at the bottom of the racetrack. And that was, I thought that was rather odd. But, I mean, that's what the track presented to them.
It is odd. Most of the time, the sprint cars like running around the top side of the track. But it is unusual. But as you said, most of the time the sprint cars actually run – they run where the track will let them run because those guys set up those cars and stuff for a reason. But, and what's crazy, when you went to Edna, all the sprint cars were running around the top of the track. Yeah.
And that's really looking forward to this weekend. I know weather's, could be an issue. I don't know. But this show at Cotton Bowl, as we have the young kiddos here about to come on in just a little bit, but this show at Cotton Bowl with those Southern United Sprint cars and the Dwarf Car Racing Series, Dwarf Car Racing Series at Texas, and a big factory stock showdown. I think that's going to be a pretty good little show right there. And at the same time, finally into the mix. I mean, it's been since January. Now we get South Texas into the mix, and I think that's going to bring out. It's at 1333 showdown that they're going to have there. The factories and the Sport Mods race or limited modifieds racing for $1,333, and now you get South Texas fired up, and I think now we're blowing and going.
Yeah, it definitely. You see a lot of the Corpus influx down there at Edna when they come rolling through the gate. But it'll be interesting to see how many cars stay at the home base this week with South Texas Speedway starting to run again. But I will definitely be on the lookout to see everybody's running in terms of Cotton Bowl's running. Oh man, even taste my beer.
Great, real race talk right here.
Real race talk. Start yawning right in the middle of the sentence. But as soon as everybody, once everybody's rocking and rolling, you get on a consistent basis, you get South Texas running, you get I-37 back running again, you get everybody up kind of running right before you get to the big Memorial Day shootouts. That's when racing's back and hot and heavy.
Yeah, and let's go back here and talk about some of the weekend action over at Heart of Texas in the modifieds. It's Gabe Tucker in the 28. Jason Hubert Sr. wins in the sport mods, and that's really cool. His first win. He's been really, really close, so good for him. In the iStocks, Benji Kirkpatrick. Factory stocks, Ryan Hopkins. That dude, that guy's out there in a factory stock. That car sits. It looks like it really looks like an asphalt car. I mean, just the way that the car sits, you see it dip down. One of the crowd favorites there, street stock driver Wade White. I say crowd favorite as in being a smartass. Wade White wins, and boy, I tell you, Bobby, we Joe and I over there, we do like WWE. We say Shannon Duloc, the popular Shannon Duloc, and they're like flipping him off. I mean, it's like old school over there, man. It's I had one gentleman out in the crowd and said, "I'll get out there and kick his ass." I said, "Woo, that's good." That's how you do it. That's 55 years, I guess, tends to build that animosity.
Little loyalty issues there at Heart of Texas.
Yeah. You guys, Texana, it was Garrett Gregory, and he and Moppin. I went back and watched the call right there. That had to be fun to call, man. They don't screw around over there with those guys, man. That was some damn good racing right there.
Yeah, I thought that for sure Moppin wasn't going to try to get the run on the outside, but he ended up doing it. One of the few good calls I had that night, so definitely got to get back on my A game. That's the drawback of being retired after all these years.
It's hard,
man. It's hard to get back on top.
It's hard, and it's one thing to go. I mean, because people have been asking me, they're like, so do you like dirt? I'm like, yeah, obviously I like it, and I mean, I will tell you forthright. Dirt is funner to call than asphalt. I mean, because there's times where with asphalt it tends to get a little strung out. I mean, dirt, you will find something happening, and that's good stuff. I mean, I really like it. And our man, Texas Sweet Tea, I saw you there in Victory Lane with him, old Johnny Torres. I tell you, man, when he jumps in, watch out because he's coming.
Yeah, I actually passed him on the way to the racetrack. He was actually at the O'Reilly's in Gonzales. Was getting some parts and pieces for the race car. Apparently, that's a brand new car he built himself. First time he's ever had brand new everything on a race car. So he still working out some of the demons, but he started in the back and came running to the front and kind of put a whooping on him. And it was kind of one of those where you knew it was coming, and it wasn't a second place. I joked with him in Victory Lane about it wasn't second place, so wasn't sure if he knew where he was going. Trying to get one more spot on it. So,
awesome.
Sometimes you got to have a little bit of fun, right? In Victory Lane with some of the guys that can take it anyway.
That's good stuff. Colin Hodges in the factory stocks, and that dude right there. Good to see him. Good to see him get back out there and kind of get back to form. I mean, that's his place. I mean, until something happens different, it's going to be up to those guys to knock him off the mount. And he seemed like he was on pace once again. Not quite as fired up as the last time I talked to him, but he seemed like he was good.
Yeah, he had a good run going for it. The factory stocks went on a pretty good show there at Edna. The racetrack was a little bit considerably dustier and drier than it was in the past, but everybody seemed to adjust well to it. Including myself. I managed to gain a couple of pounds by eating a bunch of dust that night, but not a whole lot you can do with that northerly wind when it just damn thing just don't want to go away.
Well, and there's, like you said, there's racing again this weekend. I think I saw there Texas. Yeah, Rob Tracy checks in. Texas Dirt Truck Series will be there, and Texas Dirt Truck Series are not lacking for trucks, so that'll be fun. Sean Klein in the street stocks, and then you had my man Daniel Preston. That's one cool son of a gun right there. Daniel Preston is my Natty Light guy right there. Preston punches another ticket into Victory Lane. Aubrey Taylor in the Mod Lights, lots of fast speed right there, and Chris Townsend in the Southern United Sprint Series. So looked like another spot-on performance right there. I tell you, aren't you impressed with that place? I mean, there's lots of butts in the seats and in the lawn seating, and I mean, you guys are getting after it out there, man.
Yeah, but I do need to apologize publicly to Gilbert Perez and the group over there. For some reason, I keep calling him Gilbert Reyes, and I apologize for that. But it's one of those things. You've been there. There's been one driver that you cannot get their name right, no matter how hard you try. apparently, I can't get the difference between Reyes and Perez right, and so his mom kind of yelled at me, but that's fine. Hopefully, this weekend I'll get a chance to actually get it right, and it's been harder to knock the rust off than I thought it was going to be, trying to get back into the swing of things with announcing and all that. But hopefully, third time's a charm. Maybe we'll get a chance to get it working again.
Well, I don't get the Mexicanos wrong. They're so few.
Yeah.
I don't get them wrong. Actually, I have gotten them wrong, or not them. I've gotten some wrong in the past. But let's get away from that conversation. Let's go to the hotline. It's been trending worldwide. People all around the country have been fixated into watching this amazing video that we've gotten from Cotton Bowl Speedway. It's been viewed over 137,000 times. Is the last number that I got. You had some kind of factory or sport compact battle to the end right there, and it was not only competitors, but they happened to be, a little bit more than competitors. We're going to the hotline. We got them together. I don't know if they're actually together or separate, depending on how all of that shook out, but it is Dylan Kowalik and Taylor Stewart on the Revved Up Sports Show hotline. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Good. Okay, so we got Taylor. Dylan, are you there?
Yes, sir.
All right, absolutely. So you guys, did you ever think that you had to think at some point that this could happen, where you guys could come down to racing each other for a win?
Yeah, I honestly thought I'd never catch him though.
I knew it was going to happen sooner or later, but I still wasn't going to let her win. I wasn't just going to get it.
I love it. We've actually got the video going. So go ahead, Bobby.
So talk about now. Is y'all's relationship any different now after you've got everybody watching the video? Or are y'all still doing okay? I know there was a couple of bent fenders and maybe some hurt feelings there for a little bit, but you guys worked through the issues of racing that close together on the racetrack?
Yeah, nothing's really just what happens on the race. I don't know.
He was never really mad.
Yeah, I wasn't mad. I got out of the car, so we were all good.
So we've talked to Taylor here on the show before, and I go back many years with Taylor's family. There's so many of them, but Dylan, let's talk about your career. How long have you been at this? How did it start for you? How'd you meet young Taylor here?
I started racing about 2 years ago at the end of the season, but it started because my dad has always been around racing with Tommy Grimes, asphalt and everything. And then whenever they started racing I was always there and watching Tommy race the late girl. And then Bo Tracy had a car open, or he had a car that nobody was driving, so they put me in it, and ever since I've been racing.
Nice.
So somebody that's run these cars, we got the video rolling there in the background. It looks like you guys were swapping the lead and swapping some paint. Talk about racing those cars. Those cars, I mean, everybody thinks that they're really easy to drive, but them front wheel drive cars on dirt, they're not the easiest thing to drive, are they?
No, they're not, and it's completely different whenever the car it's just completely backward than anything else. But
yeah, that makes sense. So Taylor, for you, as this is gone, for you, let's talk about, and we'll ask you both, but Taylor, your season, I mean, you've come out, you've been really, really good. Talk about to this point, because we talked before, rate yourself on your improvements and so forth so far this season for you.
I mean, I guess it's been pretty good. I mean, up until about now, I wouldn't consider that a great race. Everyone says they loved watching it, but I watch it, I'm like so stressed about it. It's a stressful situation. So, but I've come a long way since last season for sure.
Yeah.
Especially with the track conditions have been a little bit more not as dry, which is what I'm used to.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the time, like my dad said, with a track like that, I wouldn't be running where I'm running. But we're just. I mean, I'm impressed with myself to a certain degree,
For sure.
but yeah.
Yeah.
So Dylan, don't forget we are a PG rated show sometimes. So when you get spun around there on the front stretch, what's going through your mind right there? Are you mad? Are you upset? Are you just like this is fun? What goes through your mind when you sat there and you got turned around on the front stretch up there?
I was kind of shocked. I didn't expect it. Everything happened so fast, but I remember it like so clearly. And honestly, I wanted Taylor to win, but I wasn't just gonna let off. I was hoping she'd get like a good run on the outside and just come by me, and it'd be like some kind of photo finish or something. But I wasn't expecting that, and then I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's tough. So with you guys out there in these cars, so Taylor, when you were ahead, could obviously you knew he was there, but could you sense if he was on the top side, if he was on the bottom? Did you have an idea? I know a lot of racers say, "Oh, I didn't know they were there," but could you sense where he was?
I knew he was there. I figured he was. I can figure where he's at, but most of the time I'm wrong when it comes out of nowhere. But
Smart answer.
I get this random it's like I go to like a whole different driver when there's someone like coming up next to me, and I hate the way I drove that race. I mean, I'm I'm kind of embarrassed about it. Just like especially what happened at the end.
Sure.
That was not meant to happen. It didn't go as planned.
Sometimes
It
it
seemed
never
a lot
does.
better in my mind.
Yeah, not the way you drew it out. That's exactly right. Well said. Well said.
So Taylor, let's talk about. We talked about your growth as a racer and how you're able to kind of analyze more situations now than when we talked to you a year ago. So what in terms of have you been able to start learning how to read the racetrack and try to change your driving style based upon the racetrack conditions? I mean, how have you been able to adjust that way in terms of upping your game as you start racing in 2021?
I mean, I've gotten a little rusty, I think. Just kind of, I'm not sure. But, I've started turning the wheel too much, I think. And my car's pushing really bad, and I think I'm making it worse. And I mean, I don't speak cars very well. So it's like they tell me something and it's going in and out
Yeah.
of my ears.
Yeah.
You know? So Dad asked me, he's like, "How's the car feel?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I mean, I zone out."
Yeah. Yeah. No, it feels like it's going fast. Feels like it's going
Yeah.
fast. So for you, Dylan, so with you, so let's talk about you. I mean, how do you? And I mean, I've watched you've. I mean, since I've seen you on the track, you've been like at the front of the pack. I mean, you're extremely good at this at a very young age, by the way. For you, like Bobby's asking, they're reading the racetrack, learning the car because they are hard to drive. You can't do a damn thing to them. I mean, it's a stock car with a front wheel drive. It's a front wheel drive car. So hard to drive. So for you, how have you grown as you've driven these a little bit longer?
Yeah, I've just been able to read wherever everyone else is running the groove or whatever, and like it's all about line these cars and keeping your momentum up. It's not about how fast you get to the corner; it's about how fast you come out.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just keeping the momentum up and just watching other people where they're running and follow them, but until you can pass them.
That's right.
That's exactly right. That's exactly how you're supposed to drive those front wheel drive cars. So that's good to know that the group is going to be in good hands here coming up for the next couple of years. So in terms of let's talk about the way. Do you guys work on each other's cars by chance? Are they too far apart? You know, one of y'all's in San Antonio versus up in Driftwood or wherever the cars are. Do you guys work on each other's cars, or how does that work?
I definitely do not. I do though. I do pick the dirt off of his car
Nice.
after the race.
Nice.
I take some weight off of it by picking off the mud. So I consider that working on it.
That I tell you, young Taylor, that's working on it a lot more than some of these guys do these days. So yeah, that's very true. So let's talk about this race. So as it's going, we're watching these last few laps. Before I ask you this, are you guys like in awe of all of the damn people that have been watching this, and this thing is like going viral, where it's like boyfriend and girlfriend get mixed up on the track? I mean, it's amazing. I mean, have you guys kind of embraced all of this yet?
Not really. I mean, whenever it first happened, like, I was like, at least we made the highlight reel before it even happened. And then
highlight reel.
whenever I woke up and it was like everyone is sharing it and everything on Facebook, I was like, I did not expect it to go that big, but it did.
Yeah, I was real surprised because I mean it had 20,000 views when I had woken up that morning, and I was just like, wow, that's a lot. And then now that I think about that, that's not a lot. This is a lot. So I think it's funny. I think it's funny that happened.
That's awesome.
And it's funny how people are like tagging their boyfriend and their girlfriend, like this is gonna be us.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. This is great. I just wish Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Danica were still together. They could be watching this right now. And anyway, she wasn't quick enough. Anyway, no, forget that. Go ahead, Bobby. Sorry.
So what's next? Have you guys thought about racing anything else, like moving up the ladder to a factory stock or something like that? Or are you guys content running the little sport compacts out there for right now?
I think we're both planning on moving up next year. But the thing is, we both kind of have the idea on the same class we're going to, but I don't want to be in the same class as him anymore.
Especially
so
after that.
One of us has got to decide that we're not going to race that class. But it's definitely not going to be factory stocks for me because they stress me out.
They stress me out too. As a matter of
Yeah,
fact.
but
Yeah.
I think Dad's talking about getting me a street stock maybe. I want an I stock, but I think that's what Dylan wants.
Yeah, I'm between either iStock or the Truck Series, but I don't know. It's just whatever I can get into, I guess.
Yeah, that's.
I don't really care.
Well, I got to tell you guys, with the popularity of this video, there could be opportunities that come to you. So, what I was going to ask, so let's break this race down. So with the video that we're watching, I mean, there's a couple of times there where Dylan, you were ahead, and Taylor may have kind of got under you there a little bit, and there's contact, and so was there hesitation for you, Dylan? Because I do see as it rolls along, at some point you're like, okay, I'm going to lay the bumper into you. How are you processing this? Are you thinking, I really don't want to do this, but yes, I do want to do this?
Yeah, the first time she got into me, I think it was going into turn 1, I was like, who is that? Because I did not think it was Taylor. She's like, I don't want to mess up my wrap or anything. All like scared to scratch her car. And I was like, I was kind of surprised. And then whenever she passed me, I was like, wow. And then I was like, okay, maybe she just slipped up. And then I passed her back going into, or I think turn 1. And then she did it again. She just like comes up underneath me and pushes me around. But it was just, I don't know. It was kind of.
I tell you that I was racing a little harder, just because he's been winning quite a bit.
Yeah.
And I started. My favorite spot is outside pole, and when I saw I started on outside pole, I mean I was ready to go. Okay, I was ready, and then I was like, he can't be here yet. He's not up here yet, and he was up there, and I was in my brain. I'm like, just go away, just go away, get away from me. But I mean, I didn't intentionally want to drive him like that. I was driving my car over its limits a little bit. It wasn't handling very well, and I was just so determined to beat him, and it just ended badly.
So Taylor, how much of this driving style was your dad's, or how much of this is Mimi's driving style?
Neither. I'd say it's my Uncle Bobby.
Now that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Did you have one arm over on the roll bar?
No.
Okay. All right.
But
old enough to
my
remember
grandma
that.
called my mom the other day
I
and
know.
said he was just so excited about it. He said he thought I did nothing wrong. And I know I did something wrong, so I was going to listen to that. But that is definitely not the way I want to drive.
Yeah,
I
for
mean,
sure.
I just want to make clean passes. And I think I've been a little bit misunderstood a little bit from the situation. Getting so big, I've gotten lots of comments about me being a dirty driver. But it was one race. They don't know me, you know. And I'm not trying to defend myself or anything. I mean, but I think it's just a little bit. One video.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly. I get it. I totally get it.
Like, I don't want to drive anybody like that, especially what happened right at the end of the race. I would never intentionally do that to somebody.
Oh yeah, no.
Boyfriend or not, I would not do that to somebody.
Well, you say that now. Let him pass you again, and everybody's been there. When you've been in a relationship long enough, you realize that there's a strong desire to be the lead dog in the pack. So, but don't worry. That's all right. That's perfectly normal. So let's talk about you guys' relationship off the racetrack. How much time do you guys spend together, or talk about y'all's relationship off the racetrack?
Well, he lives over by San Antonio, and I live a little bit farther from Austin. So we see each other most time. I mean, it started from us just seeing each other at the races every weekend. And then it just started to where, like, off season came around, like, right after that. We met at the end of the race season in 2019, which we met on Oktoberfest, which was my first race. And we've been talking ever since. But we went from seeing each other every weekend. So pretty much.
Oh, that's a good thing. So Dylan, for you, and I want to go back to something that you were talking about there we've talked to Tommy Grimes on here before, and I know you're very young, but just from what you know, I mean, you've probably seen him on the track now because hell, he's still doing this. But talk about that dude right there and that bunch. I mean, how has that been? Because like with Taylor, she's got the News, she's got the Stewarts, she's got that pack. But for you, coming from the San Antonio side, I mean that those just such great folks over there, in that San Antonio area that have been doing this really well for a long time.
Yeah, I've been in the shop working or like just watching since I was 2.
Wow.
Or even younger, just at the racetrack and watching. And then I remember like Thunderhill and just watching Tommy. And then whenever he started going over to dirt, I really got into it and was like working on the car and actually understanding what was going on. And then he started winning a lot, and that's whenever I wanted to start racing. But there was nothing, or like, I don't know. I didn't know what to get into. And then that's whenever Bo Tracy had a car open, let me drive.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So what has Tommy seen the video? What did Tommy say about it? Because I can only imagine what Tommy Grimes would say about all that beating and banging. Not that he's ever done that in his career. Tommy's never done that.
No. I haven't talked to him after yet, but I don't know. He was helping me set up the car like that day of the race, and I was calling him that, like, what I could do and everything. So he's been helping me a lot throughout it. So.
Yeah.
But I haven't talked to him since.
So for you guys, obviously at the end of the race, when it happens at the end of the race, and I mean it's hard racing. I mean you guys, you're just doing what we do. So Taylor, when that happens, when does it kind of hit you that he spun and hit with the driver's door? I mean, because that's the worst way to hit. When did you realize that oh shit, that could be pretty bad? And what did you guys say to each other when you came together face to face right there at the end of the race?
Well, I was trying to get to him as fast as I could 'cause I was freaking out. I knew I didn't know it was gonna happen, but I mean, mom and dad knew it was gonna happen. They were a little frustrated with me.
Yeah.
And I was trying to avoid going around them. And when I stopped on the track, I got out, and all these people came up to me and were talking to me, and I'm trying to get over to Dylan. And it's all my friends because I make buddies with everyone in the infield. They're my friends.
Yeah, for sure.
And I was, I looked over and I was like, I don't know what happened. I mean, I don't speak car. I told him my toe was out. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. That sounded right though. It sounded right in my brain. And he just laughed at me, and I thought he thought the situation was funny, but he was making fun of me.
Yeah. She gets out the car and we go hugging each other, and she was like making an excuse that her toe was out, and I didn't know what to say to that, so I just started laughing and then walked away to go to the video or interview.
Shit. Oh, now that
sometimes
is
there's
awesome.
a time and a place to remember to not say anything. That's good. I'm glad you're learning that young. There's a time and a place to say anything and everything. But
Taylor, you should have taken your shoe off and pulled the toe out and said, "Look, my toe is out." I'm serious.
I think I hit Dylan in the heat race too, and he came over and told me. He said, "We need to check your toe." And I looked at him with like a blank face, like I thought he was talking about like my toe. And then he told Dad the same thing later in the night. And
Yeah.
Dad did the same thing I did. He was like, "My toe?"
Good stuff. I love that.
So how do you guys recover from this? Are you guys back on the same page again? Are you guys going to put it past you and race hard again the next race and see what happens? I mean, now that you guys are mini celebrities now, I mean, it's got to be one step to kind of move on. It's not like TMZ is going to come knocking on the door here in a couple of days. But how do you guys move past this? You guys just going to get strapped back in and just do another race?
We're definitely gonna race each other, but I'm not gonna race as hard as I did. I mean, I got to learn that there is limits that should not be passed, and I think this has definitely been a big learning experience. And I think what people are forgetting is this is a beginner's class, it's a learning class,
Right.
and I'm still learning. I've got a long time to go. And a lot of people are saying I'm getting bad habits of racing like that. But I mean, I know what's wrong and what's right. And I wasn't trying to be all rough like that.
But you know, Taylor, I mean, speaking of that, and this is something, I mean, I can tell you personally, when you put that helmet on and get in the car, and I think both of you guys can attest to this. You get in the car and you put that helmet on. It's hard to remember all that shit people tell you about driving clean and all this. It's like you go into a different world.
Yeah, sitting there waiting to go on the track, I'm thinking, trying to put the race and figure it out in my mind,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just, I'm so anxious sitting there, but once I'm out there, it's like I'm in my own zone, and it's like I'm singing to myself, I'm humming, I'm vibing,
Yeah.
And then Dylan came up, and I wasn't vibing anymore. I was ready to get him away from me.
Yeah. That's when the heavy metal kicked in. when he got close to you. So Dylan, your season, it's been really good. I should ask. I mean, did the car get beat up? I mean, that you hit that wall there, and I mean that it doesn't give at all. Is everything good with with your car?
Yeah, we got a little bit of stuff to fix, but we have a parts car for that, and
Nice.
it won't be. We'll be back by the next race.
Taylor,
and it won't.
Taylor, are you going to help him?
Well, I offered to give him my payout.
Oh, nice.
And he said no, and I was relieved. I was relieved when he said no.
Yeah, that's cool.
But I felt so bad. I felt terrible.
Well, I
and
mean,
it took him. I didn't
go
want to walk up to him because I didn't know if he was mad and his parents were mad. So I didn't want to go approach them. So I was just getting anxious, just sitting there waiting for him to come over my trailer. Yeah.
It's all good. It's all good.
So now the next step is, so what are y'all's pre-race rituals? Do either one of you guys do anything? Taylor, you said you like to hum to yourself. The older you get and the more you race, the more you stop humming and you start using adult words when people start hitting you and beating and banging against you. But what do you guys do for pre-race? Are y'all superstitious where you have to put on the same sock at the same time, the same way, all that good stuff? I mean, what y'all are still fairly young, fairly new into the sport, but what y'all got any pre-race rituals?
I do. Well, my first race, I was like, I'm not getting my nails done. I'm not getting them done. They might not fit the gloves, you know. But I think like the third race of the last season, I got my nails done. I wanted to look cute, you know, and I got like second place.
Yeah.
So I thought maybe it was the nails.
Could be.
So now I get my nails done before every race. Every race they're different, you know, and I think of it to be some kind of good luck. And I sit in the car, and when I'm humming Jesus music, thinking that Jesus is gonna help me,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah, that's good.
So
That's good. What about you, Kowalik? What do you do?
I don't really have an order of anything, but I don't know. It depends.
Yeah.
If like docs are in front of us,
Yeah.
and they're just plenty of cautions, I pretty much just sleep in my car.
Yeah.
Try not to get like all worked up and everything. And then I don't know, I try to plan out how it's gonna go in my head. It never goes how I think it is, but I still do that.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
Yeah. No, I mean that's exactly right. I mean, you look around, you see who's starting by you, you think, okay, I know this person's going to do this, and blah 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 blah. So that's really good. I've never done my nails before a race, but I have gotten my eyebrows waxed before a race, so I can kind of feel a little bit of that. See, Taylor, you need to get your toenails done, and you can check the toe each and every time.
well, see, I
before
actually
the
just
race.
did a pedicure a couple days before this race, and that was the first time I've gotten a pedicure in about 2 years.
I love it. I love
And
it.
so I think maybe pedicures are bad luck for me. That makes me drive a little too hard.
Could be. Well, I don't know. I think Taylor. I think some of your aggressiveness, maybe that you're talking about, could be from your mom, because I've seen your mom when you're racing, and man, she's
Oh yeah, she's scary.
scary.
She's embarrassing sometimes.
Well, I wouldn't go that far, but she
Oh.
there was
Well,
there was one time I was walking down to Victory Lane to talk to Dylan this year, and I go walking by, and I think I almost got hit by her. She was pretty fired
oh,
up.
I'm sure you did.
Yeah. So
I'm sure she hits a lot of people on accident. She's like, when that's going on, she's got no filter, no nothing. She's in her own world.
yeah. Well, it happens. It happens.
Yeah.
It's good stuff, guys. I mean, congratulations on the race. I'm glad that everything is good between you two. I mean obviously you have a great relationship, because I think you're together now at the moment. So the fact that you can kind of go back and talk about this and laugh about it, both of you guys. I mean, I think it's fantastic. Congratulations. I mean, you guys, you're superstars. You are superstars now.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Look forward to seeing you guys next time. Taylor, Dylan, take care, guys. Thanks for the time.
Yeah, y'all too.
You bet. Take care.
Bye, guys.
All right. There you go.
Something else, isn't it?
It's so funny and good for the racetrack. I mean, good for Cotton Bowl Speedway, because you want to talk about getting a bunch of eyeballs on yourself. That right there, that video, and thanks to Race on Texas for letting us. They're the owners of that. Thanks for letting us use that. But it's really fantastic to see. Talk about that young blood right there, and never bigger than what we just witnessed there.
Yeah, but I had to see myself when you talked about getting your eyebrows waxed before a race. You've gotten your ass waxed during a race a couple of times. So have I.
There's more than a couple of times. There's a hell of a lot more than a couple of times, but it's yeah, there's I used to do stupid rituals too, and it was like, oh, whatever. Eventually that shit wore off. And I remember there was one time when I would talk about stuff I would do before the race, and my dad would always tell me, he's like, there's one thing that I think you ought to change about your rituals before race weekend. He's like, try not getting drunk as a skunk on Friday night and coming Saturday, with a clean mind. I bet you'll race better. Try it a couple of times, see what happens. And whenever he challenged me, I did really well. So, anyway, but I mean, how about that? And I mean, for Taylor, I mean, they get out there, and I mean, you can hear it's. It sucks that she's getting a bad rap on that, but think about that. If I think this would have been different had it not been Dylan. Had that been a different driver, I think the crap would have hit the fan for sure. She said it. She was a little aggressive, but I mean, she's gonna learn. She's gonna learn. It's a learning experience for her.
Yeah, I mean that's what she mentioned it, and everybody knows that's the beginner class. I mean, now some of the techniques and stuff that you can't transfer that from a a sport compact up into an ice stock or up into a street stock, but you get a way to start learning to read the track and learning to understand your car and how your car reacts. That's what you take into another class when you move up a class from that particular stuff. So. Who knows? We'll see. See how the season shakes out for the rest of the season. Interesting to see how they would do in a street stock class, or see how they would do in an ice stock class. So,
yeah,
I thought it was funny that Taylor said they didn't want to race in the same class again.
Yeah. Well, at least they learned early on that maybe that's not the best thing for them. But it's Dylan, and I mean Dylan is really good. I mean, to watch him. I've seen him for a couple of years, year and a half, year and 3/4 in those classes, and he's really good. I mean, he does, and like you talked about, I mean, they are so hard to drive because you don't have that horsepower, and it's all about. He mentioned it. I mean, it's all about the momentum. You have to keep that momentum going, and he does exceptional at doing that, and he's beaten some really good cars. He's He's got a really good, piece under himself as well. But that kid right there, I mean, he's got. I think he could jump in and really do something special.
Well, that's good. I mean, like I said, there's always good to have the next round of kids. It's making us feel old to know that the round of people that we watched are now having their kids be the next round of people. But we've said it before. Your racing, your generational racing stuff is about every 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
You see the next generation come in, and Dylan's been around racing his whole life. Obviously, Taylor certainly has. Like you said, with both sides of her family having the racing genes. So it's good to see the new blood at the racetrack, and look forward to seeing what the future holds for these kids.
Yeah, absolutely, and good for them. I mean, I'm glad everything's good. The good thing is that the car's not beat up too bad, so that's a very good thing. Before we talk to Jason Marshall, modified driver car number 21, those results, I don't think we talked about those. From Cotton Bowl, it was CJ Gray once again wins in the street stocks, and CJ Gray has gotten him a brand new piece under him, speaking of that, and he has not lost yet. And he really hasn't been challenged, and that 23 car is really good. So he wins. Tim Holmeyer back in factory stock victory lane there with the factory stocks at Cotton Bowl, Craig's victory lane. Second win of the year for Derek Scott Jr. in the modifieds. Sport mods, it's Don Painter, that old dude. He just keeps blowing and going. And then in the iStocks, Papa George Egbert. So good night. And what I like about Cotton Bowl's done a really good job where they've zeroed in. We talked about it, with the win there for Derek Scott Jr. They're doing a really good job of continuing to pull in the modifieds. I mean, I would say they're averaging 14 to 15 modifieds, where some of the other classes are struggling. And it's not where they're offering 5,000 to win or anything like that. We saw a really good car count at Waco on Friday night, but Cotton Bowl, they've got a really good really good family of drivers there, where that's their home track and that's where they race.
Yeah, I think there was 13 or 14 down in Edna for the big mods down there for the IMC modified. So I think that the cars are out there. They're expensive to run, but they're also a fan favorite. I mean, the way that those cars kind of stick to the racetrack, going off into turn 1 and turn 3, those cars put on a hell of a show, and so it's good to see that class surviving. I like what Waco's doing, running them every other week, because that gets them a chance if they want to run on Friday night in Boyd, then they can. If they want to run hot, then they can. That every other week, so that works out pretty good for them, at least in terms of your IMCA sanctioning. So I think Waco's got the good plan going with the big mods.
Yeah, they do, and it's it really is a good idea, because it does come down to where you have to. That is a scenario that we've watched, in pavement racing, in the past, where you when you had your quote unquote real late models back in the day, where you did give them that week off and to kind of accumulate a field. And it's really tough because there are so many other inviting opportunities right now. I mean, with these factories that are, and I want to talk about the factories. And if we get Jason here, we can kind of double back to this. But just as we say that, but we'll pick that conversation up here on the other side when we get back to that. But heading back over to the hotline, as we've talked about dirt right there, but we did have the season opener in Houston a week ago Saturday for the Gulf Coast Racing Series, and the man in the modifieds, that good to see him back in victory lane. He's been a champion there before, and man, he put it on him. It is a guy winning in 2021, driver of Car 21. It's the old shit talker himself, Jason Marshall. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. I was wondering if you're gonna say that or not.
Oh man, you know that's got to come up. You know that's got to come up. So how's it been for you after the big win? We'll talk about the details here, but have you gone back into the notebook and found anything that you missed in that dominating performance?
Not necessarily missed. It's more of a let we got to figure these tires out. And we figured a few things out, and we got some secrets, and I already got next race tires, so we're just gonna make sure that we can make some magic happen and figure these things out by the next race.
So, Jason, can you tell the difference in the tires right away, but the difference between the Hoosiers and the American Racers? Was it something that you noticed right away that there was a difference in the tires, or was it non-noticeable?
Oh, no, it was definitely noticeable. The old Hoosiers, you go out one time and, they stick after a couple laps, and these they just took a little bit longer to come in. So obviously you can tell they're a little bit harder compound. But as far as the overall tire, it's still kind of a unknown area that we have left to figure out, and we figured a few things out, so we're going to move forward with what we think works.
Yeah, absolutely. And talk about that. I mean, because for Gina, it was talk about taking a risk. I mean, you're assuming a track that's been closed for a while in Mobile after she assumed a class in Houston, or a track in Houston that had been closed for a while. But to make that tire change to the American Racer from the Hoosier, your initial thoughts? I mean, I know a lot of folks are like, what we always get. How long did it take for you to kind of zero that back in and think, okay, let's give it a shot and see what happens?
Well, we went out on the Hoosiers. The first practice session, and they're pretty worn out from the last race and sitting all off season. And I ran what I ran and did what I could, and then we were like, well, let's not make adjustments for these tires. Let's see what these other ones got. So we threw the Hoosiers on there, and at first we were pretty, I don't know. Jake's not very fond of the tires yet, so I don't really know what to say about him. He was scratching his head, and then he'd come up with an idea and it worked. And then he'd scratch his head a little more and he'd come up with an idea and it worked. So I think he's got a mindset for what he's going to do for next race and, moving on. But for this race, it was definitely, pulling a rabbit out of the hat.
Yeah.
So Bob was supposed to start on a pole and had some mechanical issues, and that moved you up from the second row. Does it change your approach when you start on the pole at all, or is it the same kind of focus you've got from if you would have started on the inside of row number 2?
Well, I mean, think about it, Bobby. If you were sitting behind somebody, all you're worried about is getting around them. And once you get around them, you see open skies and you got a good track. It's like, hurry up and make practice laps and let's go. So, no, when Bob moved out, I was a little bit confused. And then when they told me to move up, of course, I was like, okay, this is going to work. And then as soon as we took the green flag, I was like, oh, this is going to work out just fine. Only because I felt the car was good.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't have that same confidence in the car the night before. And, then my wonder the whole time was, are the tires going to fall? How bad are they going to fall off during the race? And,
Mm-hmm.
Or are they going to stay together? What's going to happen? So, once I pulled out in a little bit of lead, my wonderful spotter, Bill Kruger, he kind of told me, I was only 5 cars ahead the entire race. So I never knew that somebody wasn't right behind me because I don't have any mirrors. So, like, I heard in the video that you said, Jason's hot lapping it and doing this, and well, hell yeah, because I thought somebody was 5 car lengths behind me.
Yeah. Well, dude, that makes perfect sense because as that race is going on, I'm watching lap times. I'm like, hell, he's getting faster. I'm like, at some point, because that was my thought as well. I'm like, at some point, I don't know what these American racers are going to do, but it was like you kept getting faster. And that thank you for answering that puzzle there, because I had no idea what was going on.
Yeah, no, it was 100% that. It was. I thought somebody was a little closer behind me than they were, and all I could think is that I know that, Max had a, he had a spin in the beginning, and it put him in the back, and then Logan had his issues, and Bob had slipped off the pole for his electrical issues, and I was like, had a whole lot going on in my head at that moment, and then after that, I just went and then listened to my spotter and concentrated on driving and just made lap after lap thinking somebody was 5 car lengths behind me. And then when there was only 10 to go, I finally got told that Max had got into second place, but I still had a whole straightaway lead. And at that point in time, I backed off just a little bit because I did the math in my head real quick, and I was like, I need to say something because I don't know what's going to happen to these tires. I don't know if they're going to fall off. I'll be on an ice skating rink in 10 laps, or if they're going to keep gripping. And man, the car was just, thanks to Jake Kruger and Kruger Motorsports, the car was pretty much on the rail the whole time.
Yeah, for sure.
So Jason, how does this win change your season? I know you're not one to try to run for points or anything like that, but it's got to be hard when you go out and win the first race of the season and see yourself up on top of the points to not think about running for that championship. Was that something you had planned to do, or is it something you still have planned to do, or what does this change your outlook for 2021?
Of course it does. I always go into the first race and kind of tell Jake that, if we do well in the first race, then we're definitely got to make the second and the third. And I know that this whole schedule is on holiday weekends, so it kind of makes things a little bit more painful, with the family stuff. And just the fact that I go out there and did that, then yes, for sure I'm making the next one. And then if we do okay, I'll be making the next one. So I kind of already instilled myself that we're going to go ahead and make as many races as we can. And we're going to make all 6 of them as far as I'm concerned now, and see where it lays. But no, prior to the race, we didn't really know what our race schedule is going to be this year.
And Jason, quickly back to the tires, because I know you and I chatted over at the holiday, as we seem to do quite often. But so would you have ever thought? I mean, as long as you've driven these, fire breathing modifieds, I like to call them. Would you have ever thought? Because I knew the strategy, and we're not going to talk about it. But would you have ever thought that strategy would make one of these cars that fast?
Absolutely not. No, I thought that I'd be on, I thought they were going to do what the Hoosiers do. And, after 30 laps or so, start giving out on me, and I had to start driving a little bit less aggressive and feather everything and finesse everything. And at the end of the day, they were good. So I didn't feel a ton of fall off. It did get a little bit harder to drive towards the end, but at the same time, it wasn't hard enough to not make it, turn. And turning's a big situation in these cars. And Jake had me flying through the corner, so I was perfectly fine.
Yep.
And very happy.
Yeah, I bet.
So let's talk about this past week.
Chasing me. Go ahead.
Nope. What was that? Sorry about that.
Oh, sorry. What were you saying, Jason?
I also knew Max was chasing me.
Oh yeah.
Max was working through that crowd as fast as he could to get up there so he could get back with me. And if he'd had a yellow, I'm not going to answer what the ending would be because that's an untold story. However, Max is a good driver in a fast car. Logan's a good driver in a fast car. And you never know what the outcome's going to be, but it fell in my lap this time, and it worked out for me. So I wouldn't change anything other than what happened.
Hell yeah.
So
Jason, let's talk about was any of your stuff over there in the Bastrop fire with Bill's stuff and the Kruger stuff the other day?
Oh yeah, I got the phone call. I got the phone call that said you got about 30 minutes or else all 4 cars and trailers are going to be burned up. So yeah, I did get the phone call. Luckily I made transportation for my trailer from the Kruger family, and we were really worried about that for a little while, and I tried calling. I called everybody on there, everybody else's trailers that were there. I was calling them end and send until I could get a hold of them, and then when I did, everybody made their arrangements, and luckily, it didn't happen. And that's the second time. I'd been there once before when there was a fire that almost hit us, and at the last minute the wind changed and we got this fresh air come through, and then all of a sudden there's no more ash and smoke and stuff coming over us, and then we didn't have to worry about it. So yeah, I was worried about it. That's the third time, because the first time they lost their house, and then the second time it was a close call, and then of course this time at one point in time there was 75 or 100 acres and it was 0% controlled. So when everybody from Cotton Bowl is calling me and telling me they can see the fire, and Deb Kruger is calling me and telling me that the fire, they're evacuating the 2 streets behind them. Yeah, it made me worry a little bit, especially after coming off a win. I was like, oh man, I don't want to lose that right
now. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I bet. So Jason, let's talk about these modifieds. Now with the influx now with Mobile coming into the picture, and we here in Texas, obviously we've got Houston, and there's a lot of cars. Is this going to be? Do you think that this is something for our modifieds, for you guys, that this tie-in? I know the tires are tricky because you got all these other tracks that run the Hoosiers, but what's going to happen in 2021? Because you've got Mobile. Mobile's going to be tough for a lot of people, but what's going to happen here? What's the future moving forward, in your opinion, as a competitor?
Well, as a competitor, it's our job to find the best way that we can make them work as possible, and none of that happens without a little bit of practice.
Yep.
So we still got some figuring out to do, but we got a couple of, we found out a few things and we figured a few things out, and we got our race tires for next race, and we're gonna keep playing with them. I know they're bigger. I know some things have changed about them, but at the overall end of the day, if that's what we have to work with, we're going to make them work. And Mobile, I have not yet to be out to Mobile, unfortunately, with my schedule this year, and obviously having the 4 kids.
Sure.
I'm not going to be able to make maybe one, if any, of the Mobile races. However, I do plan on making all the Houston races.
Yep.
And I'll tell you what I do enjoy is I do enjoy all these youngsters coming in. You got Jason Foray, you got Shelby Huff, you got a bunch of these young cats coming in, and they put a lot of time and work in their cars, and I think Jason at one point in time taking the cone got right behind me.
They did. Yeah.
He was only a couple car lengths behind me for a few laps, and that makes me happy because I like to see some of these young cats that getting in there because we just need more modifieds. But at the same time, you can't complain about our car count. When you got 14, 15 modifieds show up, of course we always want more. But I'm glad to see that people are actually coming out, whether it's their freshman, sophomore, or junior year in the cars.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad to see them put in the effort to make a run for the front.
That's right. That's right. Well said.
Or as in Jason Foray hashtags everything, hunt for the front.
All right, nice. I mean, yeah.
There it is.
Yeah, great driver right there. I mean, that dude, they work their asses off. And I mean, that's
no,
you have
they
to.
Do.
You have to.
And I've been lucky enough to be one of the few people that he asked advice from and asked a bunch of questions, and I've gone out and watched them and told him a few things of pointers that I could give. Not that he really needed a ton of them, but I've seen him make progressions with some changes, and I just like to see some of the guys back there starting to run up front. And that's what this is all about, is getting these guys to get up front and have good competition for the races.
That's right. Well said.
So, Jason, you answered part of this question already, but where's the state of the modifieds right now? Are they still the most competitive class we have here? And does Houston need a late model class, or is everybody going to be okay running these modifieds?
I've always liked late models a lot, so of course I would love to see a late model class there. I think the pro lates, I don't know how many of them are around that are, that are willing if she was to pull the trigger.
Mm-hmm.
But I do know that there's several more modifieds than showed up there, and we already had 15. So I'm hoping that the next 4, 5, 6 that I know of just offhand, I hope they, maybe they didn't want to be in the points. Maybe they didn't want to do anything. Maybe they weren't ready yet. But at the end of the day, I hope to see them out there in the next couple of races, and I'll be calling them, trying to get them out there myself.
Yeah, yeah, and that's much appreciated, because you are one of the guys that really champions trying to get people out to the track. So let me ask you this. So one of the things that I hear all the time at the racetrack, and again, you'll be an outsider at this, just as somebody watching. With all of this super stock, outlaw, all of this that we have, how do we? It was so weird. I always thought the outlaws were going to be the thing to take off, but hell, the last time we had more super stocks. I mean, how do we figure out a balance here? I know people want a steel-bodied stock car, factory stock class, but man, it's like they all look alike, and people get confused. And is there a balance there, in your opinion, that we can figure out for that class right under you guys?
Honestly, it's just everybody making phone calls and letting everybody know that the competition's good, and it's not, don't have just the few people that have really good cars, that there's a lot of cars out on the track. Whether, I know in our class we had some guys that were, tend to be more than a half second off pace of the leaders, but it didn't take any drive from them off to want to go out there and race. And, you got to give props to those guys, because they're only going to keep working on their stuff and getting faster. So, I invite everybody that is in a modified to be able to come out there, and if there's enough late model people, then they need to start calling Gina and see if they can put something together to where there's more than 10 or 12 or so, and she might make a class for them.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I'd love to see it. I've always liked the late models.
Yep.
But I think that I think with the rain that happened on Saturday and taking everybody's practices away and doing everything else, I was very surprised that that many people still showed up. That many cars still showed up. I was very happy. Love to see the stands 3/4 full after a rain day. I mean, you can't get mad at that. So, that's what we go out there and perform for, is, the gratitude at the end of the night.
So Jason, how beneficial is that Friday practice? Obviously, it really was this time because of the rain out on Saturday, but nobody can really forecast the rainouts on with the practice on Saturday. Is it enough structure where you learn a lot to where it's worthwhile to spend that extra bit of money and time on a Friday night?
Yes. only because, with the changes in the tires and the changes in some of the schedule stuff, and only getting one controlled practice, I would definitely say you need to do your homework on Friday night or Friday during the day. And I do believe it's worth it, especially for those who are still trying to figure some stuff out. And Friday's a pretty open day. It's open practice. People are walking up and down the pits, talking to each other, having conversations they don't normally have on race day, because on race days everybody's focusing on themselves.
Right.
And Friday's a pretty light day to be able to go around and question all the other car builders and see what their thoughts are on certain stuff. And you help a few people and few people help you, so can't really complain. But yes, I do think Friday's a must.
Mm-hmm. So, Jason, I talked about it. I talked about it on that night during your race. I mean, for you, you were champion there. A couple of years back. I mean, for you, seriously, was this? And I said it. I think I said it during the race. I mean, 2021, the 21 car comes out and just lays the wood to everybody. Was that some real damn good sweet redemption for you to come out, not only to get back to victory lane after a championship a couple of years ago, but to win it in that dominating fashion?
Well, I'm not going to try to pat myself on the back and tell me that I wasn't super elated that they had that I was able to pull that off like that. But at the same time, I also know that just means that everybody's going to work harder to get there.
Yep.
And as everybody works harder to get there, I'm going to have to work harder to stay ahead. And I know that there was several competitors that might have run into a little bit of bad luck or a little bit of this. I know Logan's always fast. I've had lots of good races with Logan. And then I know Max is fast. He won 3 in a row last year. And, I know these things. So yes, to go out there and dominate the way it happened and be that far ahead, honestly, like you saw in the video, I got out of the car and gave Jake Kruger a big old hug, because he made a few decisions. He made a few decisions that I didn't really know about. And he also made a few decisions that he told me to just trust him on, and I rolled with it and couldn't ask for anything more.
Yeah. How important for you is it having Kruger around? I mean, it's so funny. Bobby and I have been doing this for so long. Remembering Jake being just the boss man, just a young kid running around, and now he comes out here and he works on these cars and trucks and all this, and it's like he's like King Midas. He touches these things and they turn to gold.
Yeah, until he gets in one, and then he goes out and kicks everybody's ass. Which also, he let me know after the win that he might make one special appearance or two this year, and if he does, boy, I'm going to be sweating on that one. So, no, Jake is really, honestly, he's everything. He's a young kid with an old mind, and he's got that geometry brain. And when he scratches his head, and when I get out of the car and I know he's about to do something to it. When I get out of the car and he smiles, then I know we're ready, and that builds my confidence. So honestly, for me personally, I wouldn't even go to a race without Jake.
Yeah.
I'd be too scared that, I'd have too many questions, and he answers them all for me just by either doing it or getting feedback from me and making changes, whether I know about him or not. But no, he's definitely probably the most crucial piece of our team. All I do is drive the car. Yeah. Driving the car is probably one of the easier things to do compared to getting it all set up and the work that goes on behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm. And I talked to him Saturday. As soon as I got there, he's one of the first people that I ran into. And not only the work that he does, But he's somewhat of a pretty good little mental coach as well. I would guess.
Yeah, well,
verbal coach too, apparently.
there, there, this is one of the rare times I had him and his dad on the radio with me during the race, and they complimented each other very well in the race. But lots of times, if Jake's on the radio with you, he's so passionate about certain things, you know. If he tells you did something wrong, you feel like a whipped dog ready to go run in a corner.
that's kind of what I gathered. That's exactly what I gathered from the conversation that he told.
But see a smile on his face 10, 12 feet away as he's walking to the car, you know you did something right, and you're just waiting to hear the info.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So I think lastly, Jason, I think it's the same thing for you, where we had the showstopper on here last week. The showstopper, yep, and now the shit talker. So we got him here. But so for you, I think it's the same thing for you, where Jake was like, I wish we'd had a few more trucks. But I invite everybody to come out. I mean, you want to get out there and race against the best. And I mean, I think you guys, and I mean, if I'm speaking for you, stop me. But I think that I'm speaking for you, where you say, guys, bring them out. We had a great car count, but bring those fast cars out, man. It only makes for better racing and a better show.
It does, and it makes a better show for the fans. You know, of course, we got to run after our one little yellow on lap 2 or 3, I think it was. We ran the rest of the laps in green, so I was actually really happy about that, because if I'd have got sucked all the way back and had to do another restart, it could have been a different story.
Mm-hmm.
However, it didn't work out that way, and you know, I just kept doing what I was doing, and you know, it worked out that way. But know that Max was, you know, elbows up,
yeah,
working his way back to me, and I just knew that, you know, if there was a restart, that, you know, hopefully he wears his equipment out a little bit faster than I do, and we'd have had a good race at the end. But it didn't work out that way. It ran green, and I couldn't have been happier. And not to mention, in the off season, my car sat at Jake's house until 2 weeks before racing season started, and then we pulled the car out of the trailer, put Raymond Delahoussie's motor in it, a crate motor, which I haven't driven a crate motor before, and we put his crate motor in there. And so I had all kinds of question marks when I showed up to the track. You know, new tires, new motor, new this, new that. I was like, oh my God, you know, I'm overwhelmed with stuff. And Jake really knows how to make it all come together and calm you down, and, you know, get you to, he pulls the best out of you. So I honestly, I can't speak enough about him.
Yeah, that's for sure. That is for damn sure. Just a great dude right there. But I said it, man.
Yeah.
You dropped the gauntlet. I mean, if you want to be good, it's going to go through the 21. But I mean, like you said, Max, there's a lot of guys. There's a lot of guys, and others will show up. But you've got the leg up, and I really think that's important starting out.
Yeah, no, anytime, I mean, you know, just back in school, if you started out with an F, it takes 4 A's just to make it a C. So,
I know that well.
You know, to be able to start out good, and, you know, being on the front end of the stick, it'll just take a lot of pressure off of us next time, and thinking that we have to force a first or second place finish and then just let those happen as happen. But I can promise you we'll be ready for the next one, and couple other changes and things that we got up our sleeve. We're gonna figure this stuff out, and we'll just be better for the next one. So everybody's gonna have to think deep.
Yeah, hell yeah, that's awesome, man. And the good thing is, I mean, they'll come for you, and that's a good thing, because you always back it up, man. Congratulations on that big win. Thanks for the time, and enjoy your time off. We've got a little bit of time before the May 29th, so it'll be fun to get back out there again.
No problem. And I do want to say congrats to old Jake Wright too.
Yeah.
You know, we all end up at the same Holiday Inn parking lot at the end of the night. The truck race and the modified race were 2 races I was concerned about to see what the, you know, ending was, and they happened to end in the same sort of fashion, and that doesn't happen every day. And I'm not going to say it will happen over and over again, but we were blessed to have a Kruger Motorsports night. How about that?
That's right. That's right.
So,
If people get tired of seeing Kruger Motorsports win, come on out and try to knock you guys off the throne. There is kind of my thought.
we'll take it. And I had a lot of phone calls. I was trying to see who was going to be out there beforehand. You know, I know we missed Johnny Walker and a few of the other guys that were, you know, that'll probably show up next race because they had races in, you know, Pensacola or wherever they were. And I expect to see them next race. And my mindset is, at least I got one race up on these tires and one race up on figuring this stuff out, and we'll see what happens next race. Hope you can figure it out as fast as we did.
That's right. Memorial Day, hot dogs, racing, and all kinds of fun. And Holiday Inn after. It'll be great, my brother.
Yeah, that never ends.
That's never end. That never ends.
Until the sun comes up. When
That's
the sun
right.
comes up, it tells you get the hell in your room.
Yeah, go to bed. Go to bed for an hour and get your ass on the road.
Right.
Good stuff, man. Appreciate the time, Jason. You are the man, my man.
Well, I appreciate the help. Like I said, it ain't me alone. It's a team effort, but at the same time, I can't tell you how more proud I am of my team, and a little pat on my back for actually making it happen, because I did see Jake smile, and when he smiles, that's like one of those things you're like happy for like a month.
Yeah.
So I'll be happy for a while, and then let's just get out there and see if we can, you know, pull some more people out there and go do it again.
That's right. Keep it up, my man.
Yes.
Good to see that 21 back in victory lane, brother.
Well, I appreciate that. I don't expect it to be the last, and I'm gonna try my ass off for the first for it to happen again. So hopefully that's not the last time this season you say that.
That's right. Right on, dude. We'll see you next time out.
All right, guys.
All right.
Y'all be good.
Take care, buddy.
Thank
you. Bet.
Bye-bye.
There he is, the shit talker. I don't know. I don't think he's the head of the shit talkers, but for some reason he's the one that brought it up on here. So he's a shit talker.
He is. He's probably not the leader, but he's on top of the board a lot of that over there. So.
And I got to tell you, he's really not one. I mean, that's the funny thing where he is very humble. I mean, folks that don't know Jason Marshall as well as we do, he's one of those guys where he does so many good things, and you know, people have no idea. And to see him get out there and win and get the season started like that's good for him, because he deserves it. And exciting. I think he's fired up for a good 2021.
Yeah, well, I think he's got to be. Obviously, winning that opening race of the season makes it that much sweeter of an off season. Right. And it also makes for a much better way to kick off the season. Like you said, you start off with an F, it takes a couple of A's to try to get you back up to a C. So when you start off with a good A right at the top of the bat, that makes it all that much sweeter.
Yeah, absolutely. Great conversation tonight. Everybody checking in. Thanks to everybody there. I mean, those messages hit a lot of times, so we can't check in on everything as they continue to go on. But just I really like the Dylan Kowalik, Taylor Stewart. I mean, that was fun, and I mean that was that kind of put a whole new spin on #Real Race Talk.
Yeah, it did. Definitely a different spin than normal, but yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun in terms of what's next for the kids. And then it's good to know that Jason's set up and ready to go. I'd love to see him try to take on Mobile in one of those big races with the modified. So hopefully they can get a good car count. Definitely will have. As far as I know, we'll have late models up in Mobile, but be interesting to watch the modifieds race there too on the high banks.
Yeah, they'll definitely be there. The modifieds will be there. I know there's some conversation there with Modifieds of Mayhem, whether if that's going to be tied in or how that will all work. But I even saw that I think some of the eco stocks want to go to Mobile, so it's going to be a full program. There's Mobile classes that are in place over there that will resume. Once the track gets fired up. Once again, I got a text from Gina on Sunday night where she had I sent her a picture of where I was in Rockport, and she sent me a picture of her backyard there at the house that she's at Mobile International Speedway, and there's a drag racing car ripping down the dragway there. So it's gonna be a fun experience, and hopefully we get a lot of folks that get out there, and our Mobile people as well, that get the opportunity to get back out, and you got a racetrack again. That's got to be super good. We should know that around here because we have been lacking tracks, and we get one that fires up. I don't think Mobile is going to be lacking for participation.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think down there with the heart of the Gulf Coast down there, and try to get everything rocking and rolling, tying in from Pensacola and even a little bit from Montgomery
Yeah.
up there. So I think that I think it's in the right spot. It's good for the people on the Gulf Coast, southeastern Gulf Coast. Little chug for up here, but who knows? It's all going to be a good deal for 2021. Looking forward to that first race coming up on the 1st.
Mm-hmm. Going to be a lot of fun. Hey, guys, if you want to hear about NHRA, NASCAR, and IndyCar, we'll be on the radio 11 o'clock on the Horn. HornFM.com will break all of that down for you and get you ready for IndyCar. IndyCar firing up and 4 Wide Nationals, all that good stuff. Again, glad that we got the 2 celebrities on this show before TMZ tonight. We beat him to the punch, my man. We beat him to the punch.
That would not be the first time we beat a national outlet to somebody.
That's exactly right. Great week. Hey, everybody. Thanks for the birthday wishes and everything, messages and all that good stuff, gifts. Pretty cool. Make an old guy feel good. We are back next Monday, 6 o'clock. If you missed the Saturday show, it'll be fun. No telling what we'll get into then.
Yeah, no telling. The Saturday show is a whole different beast. But if you hadn't checked out that Willie T. Revved interview, go ahead and check it out. It's out there on the SoundCloud and at thehornfm.com.
Absolutely. Bobby's down south. I'm Rodney. I am up north. We'll catch you next week. It is the Revved Up Sports Show.